Rev up your engines! Now, theoretically, if cars are more than 25 years old, you can import them from other countries, even though they weren't originally imported in the United States. But Maine and Rhode Island are starting to ban these. Now, those are small-sized vehicles. They kind of look like little toys. People have legally brought them into Maine and Rhode Island. Now they're saying you can't drive them, register them. And they're saying you can't drive them on public roads. One guy in Maine even said, you're going to need a bleep wrecking ball to get those plates from me to take my car off the road. Now, some places have a low-speed law. They're saying that applies because they can't go fast enough. One was even on an island that only has 100 people on it. You can only get there by boat. So how fast are you going to go? You can't go that fast in the island anyways, right? Probably the speed limit is 25. Well, they can certainly do that. They're basically saying, well, it can't keep up with traffic on the highway. But technically now, they're bypassing that law. They are saying they don't meet the federal motor vehicle standards for safety. But here is the law, and I quote, a motor vehicle that is at least 25 years old can be legally imported to the U.S. without regard to whether it complies with all applicable FMVSSs. So they're saying you can, the feds are saying you can, but the state guys are saying, no, you can't. Gee, it kind of sounds like the exact opposite of, say, marijuana legislation, where federally it's against the law to smoke marijuana, but states have legalized it. So this is the opposite. This time the feds say, yeah, you can drive these cars, but the states just say, no, you can't. And some of them are saying, oh, well, that's an off-road vehicle. You can't drive it on road. So the battle goes on, but anybody who's imported those, you're going to have to fight your local legislatures now to see if you're going to be able to drive the car that you legally brought into the United States, or perhaps move to another state. Now, I got an email from a viewer, and they were complaining that they got ripped off at a Toyota dealer. The guy says, I went to a Toyota dealership in California because of a recall on my 2014 Toyota Prius. They told me it was just a software problem, but then they tried to sell me spark plugs, alignment, brake pads, wheels, etc. I got the car back, and I almost got in a wreck because the wheel practically came off. They said they didn't touch that wheel. They only touched the other wheel. This is a problem that everyone can relate to. This is one reason that unless it's a serious problem, I never take my own cars back in for recall. I fix it myself. I don't care. Because every time you take your car to a dealership, they're going to try to sell you stuff. I had a customer have a recall on a Toyota where they had to do the head gasket over. And they said, well, we're going to charge you another $800 to change the timing belt because we only pay for the head gasket, right? And I told my customer, I said, you have to take the timing belt off in order to get the heads off. So maybe they could charge you for the $60 for the timing belt, but not the labor, because they already got it all taken apart. They got to take it apart anyways. But that's how it works at dealerships. They're out to rip people off. It's just the way the world works. And they got you in, tried to sell you something. But the sad part was they didn't put your wheel in, right? And then they said, we didn't take that wheel off. We only took the other wheel off. And the guy goes on to say there was the white lube coating on both front wheels to show that obviously they took them both off. And then the service advisor lied and said, no, they didn't take it off. The service advisor has no idea what's going on. I had a customer, it was another manufacturer, but it was also a dealer. They charged them for a brake job, right? And I looked, I said, these brakes aren't new, right? Service advisor says no to the customer. I actually saw him doing the brake job. Well, they just flat out lie. I could see these weren't new brake pads, right? And the service advisor just lied. I said, I saw them do it. They did the job. The guy obviously didn't look at it because they weren't new. They just cover their own rear ends, you know? So if at all possible, my advice is stay away from these people as much as you can, because they're always trying to sell you something. And it's not like in my grandfather's day. When my grandfather was a mechanic at a dealership, before he started working for my father at the Tercel gas station, he was getting 25 cents an hour. It was 50 cents an hour labor. So the dealership took 25 cents and he got 25 cents. They each took 50% of the labor. Today, they might charge you $140 an hour. That mechanic might be making $17.50 flat rate. Nowhere near $70, which would be half of what it is. So that's the problem. The owners are greedy, they're making more profit. The guys that are doing the actual work are getting paid less. So you end up with a mess like this. Sad, but true. Mikey says, I think Scotty really owns a Tesla. No, I don't. But yes, I do have an electric vehicle. I have been testing out electric bicycles, and companies have sent me them. And I got it down to 3 that I think are the best. One of them I really like is a fat tire one. It actually has fatter rear tire than my original BSA motorcycle did. And it can go up to 35 miles on electricity alone. And so far, with pedaling and the electric, I got it up to 31 miles an hour. It cruises at 25 with the electric motor only. And I gotta say, it's pretty impressive. It's got a Shimano 7-speed transmission, the gears, so if you run out of electricity, you can just pedal wherever you want to go. Brake lights, everything. I'm rather impressed by this. Just stay tuned. You'll see I'm going to make a video on these three. So I do own electric vehicles, but they're 3 electric bicycles. DD Time says, huge question. 2022 Camaro, V6 or V8, which is smarter? Depends what you want, you know? You want speed? You're going to get the V8. You want to get better gas mileage and it won't wear out as fast? Get the V6. But what are you going to do with that car? Let's say you're going to drive and then sell it. You got to get the V8 because the V6s have really low resale value. Everybody wants the V8. So you really got to buy the V8 if you're planning on selling it in the future because you won't get anything for the V6. Everybody wants the V8s. So, you know, you decide what you want to do and then go from there. And Maine just says, Scotty, what do you think of the 2022 Corolla SE with the CVT transmission? I just bought one. Are they as good as the other Corollas? I can't talk about a 2022. It's only 2021. But yeah, you know, they sell the models made after the 6 months and call them the next year. So it's a new car. But my son's got a 2-year-old Corolla with the CVT and he loves it. The only problem he has is some idiot was driving around, they ran into him, and he had to get about $2,500 of insurance claim done through the other people's insurance. They were, you know, typical idiot. This person, he's in the left lane only, they're in the right lane only, and they make a left turn and run right into him. There's some idiots out there. But they're Corollas. I'm sure the 2022 will be good. I haven't seen any problems with them yet. But going by history, I mean, they've sold over like 30 millions of those things. They know what they're doing. CCI 14 plays says, Scotty, what's your dream car that maybe you might buy one day? I'm a big fan. Well, I always try to keep my dreams and reality separate. I'm a pragmatic car buyer. I only have Toyotas and Lexuses. I like them that they're going to last a long time. My wife likes a Lexus because it's luxurious. I will never buy a fantasy car because I can't see wasting money on something like that. I got 6 grandkids. They're going to go to college. I mean, hey, I'd rather help them go to college than waste it on some stupid car that's a whole bunch of money that's worth nothing later. But see, you got to understand with me, I'm a mechanic and I'm a big YouTube guy making videos. I get any car in the world by snapping my fingers or making a phone call. I'm also easily bored. That's why I'm always doing stuff. I get bored easily. I want to do new stuff. I'm bored with a car after, you know, a few days, sometimes a few hours. I'll give you a perfect transportation analogy. One time the wife and I chartered a sailboat to Galveston, from Clear Lake, Texas to Galveston, right? It's the best money I ever spent. I always thought I'd like to have a sailboat. Not after chartering one. I'm not going to buy one. Yeah, I'm going to get one. I'll rent them. Same thing with a motorboat. I'm not going to buy one. I'll rent one if I need one, or even better, have a friend with one and say, look, I'll fill it up with gas. We'll go around. Oh, great. Yeah, I'll fill it with gas. Interesting enough, I talked to a guy who got a brand new bass boat, and now they only rate the 250 horsepower engine for 300 hours of operating time. And with the gas hoggy it did, because it was a V8 with 250 horsepower outboard motor, I found out that if he actually operated that at harsh conditions, with the loss of value of the boat, since the motor is only good for 300 hours, the price that was paid, and how much gas costs, those things guzzle gassed out. It actually costs $999 an hour to have that boat. So, I'm not going to buy one. I'm not going to buy a luxury car, fancy sports dream car. No, I'm happy with Toyotas and Lexuses. Antonio Parisio says, Scotty, what do you think about a Toyota Tercel 1996? Now, those were decent transportation cars. But in my mechanics world, a lot of mechanics called them Tercels instead of Tercels because they ride bumpy. They're a little bit odd looking. They can last a long time, but of course, the 96 is an old car. I'll tell you one thing that I definitely would not buy. The Tercels that were fuel injected were fine. The earlier ones were okay. But do not buy a Toyota Tercel that has the side draft motorcycle type carburetor. They had nothing but problems with the carburetors. They never ran right. When they went to fuel injections, they were fine. And the other thing is, a lot of them burn oil because they had bad oil seals on the valves. They would go bad and they'd burn oil like mad. If you're thinking about buying one, pull all the spark plugs out. And if they're covered with carbon, don't buy it. It means the engine needs to be rebuilt. But I mean, they're so old. If you get it cheap and it still runs halfway decently, you get a cheap knockaround car, it could be okay. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.